It takes an extraordinary team to embark on an extraordinary mission. WealthVest presents the 99 Best Marketing Ideas, a podcast dedicated to bringing financial advisors the most cutting-edge marketing strategies. Listen in as your fellow advisors share their top ideas to help you conquer your marketing needs.
Hello and welcome to another 99 Best Ideas podcast brought to you by WealthVest. Today's guest is Todd Hickman, the managing partner at Asset Growth Associates, and you're in Texas, is that right?
Yes, sir. Texas it is.
Whereabouts in Texas?
Well, I've got three offices. My base camp is in Beaumont, Texas, but we've also got offices in Austin, Texas, and also Houston, Texas.
Nice. Okay. Well, this podcast, as you know, is all about great marketing opportunities and ideas. But before we jump into what you're truly doing that's unique and different, which is why you're a guest on the podcast, tell me a little bit about your history as a financial advisor.
Well, let's see. Many years ago, I moved with my father to Beaumont, Texas back in 1974, but I was still very young then. Well, I'm fairly young now, but I'm in my 50s. And when we moved to the area, my dad was the general manager for New York Life Insurance Company, and he was very successful in that, and I saw that it was a nice lifestyle, and he subsequently moved over to Money Financial Services, and then when I got through with school, I decided, hey, I'm going to do what my dad does. And then I quickly realized my dad had sold everybody that I knew. So it came as a shock to me that I needed to go out and meet new people, and my career started from there.
Your dad, that's awesome. Hard act to follow, man, but that's awesome. Well, let's talk about what makes your practice unique and different. I mean, so why have you been so successful?
Well, I guess persistency pays off. I've had a radio show in Beaumont, Texas on KLVI 560 AM going on 18 years now. We've recently expanded a radio program up to Austin area. We do the tried, true, tested seminar workshop marketing. We also have a separate company within our organization that does income tax preparation. You know, we do a lot of things in order to get in front of as many people as we possibly can.
Let's talk about radio.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of podcasting, and one of the reasons why is because of editing, flexibility, and then also cost. But you've killed it with radio. I mean, I've actually listened to your radio show. I did that in preparation of the podcast today. Let's talk about that. I mean, so one, how long is the show? Number two, if you wouldn't mind, give us a rough capital investment. And three, tell us why you have found so much success with that.
Well, initially, we were getting to do the radio show for free when we first started at the radio station. We were brought on. The radio station recruited us from a competitor station. And the way that the radio show was paid for was the advertising folks went out and sold spots in the show. And it was originally a live show. Well, we've transitioned to a recorded show that we go in every Thursday morning, and it broadcasts each and every week on Saturdays and Sundays. We have two showings on the weekend, one at 6 a.m. on Saturday, another at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And we do pay for the show now. It's about $1,000 a month locally in Beaumont, and I pay about the same in Austin. I think it may be a little bit more in Austin. Also broadcasting, we've been broadcasting about 3 months now up in the Austin area. But radio is not something that you do to elicit an immediate response. What radio allows you to do is to become a familiar person to your chosen demographic. It's not an immediate response, if you will. It's not like a seminar marketing. However, you can market, events like, come visit my seminar. But obviously, you want to target the right demographic when you're doing a seminar. But radio allows you to establish a presence. It allows you to become a known commodity, and it allows you to become familiar. I can't tell you how many times that when people call us, it's merely a formality. They want to come in, they're ready to retire, and they're bringing everything that they have, and they already know me, they already know my partner, Gene, and it's merely a formality on doing business. So it's a great resource. Just don't expect an immediate response to it.
Well, Todd, and I appreciate that. Radio is true marketing, right? It's a long game. It's that relationship credibility builder. But you're taking this from a two-pronged approach, which I think is fascinating. Like a lot of people, Todd, will just kind of hang their head on one thing. Like you're successful on the radio, right? And you're broadcasting in 2 different areas at 4 different times. I mean, that's fantastic. But let's also talk about your seminars, all right? One, are you the only person who does the seminar? Because I don't know how big your firm is, or I don't know how many faces of the firm. That's not true. I do know how big your firm is. How many faces of the firm are there? How many advisors are out doing the seminar?
Well, it's myself and Gene when we do it locally. We also have Marc Rogers from WealthVest come in, and he helps do the presentation as well. WealthVest has done an incredible amount of research regarding retirees and helping retirees understand just exactly what their concerns should be. A lot of retirees have unrealistic expectations, if you will, on distribution rates off of their portfolio. And there's a lot of people that are concerned about what's going on with the stock market. And WealthVest has done a lot of research in that regard. And Marc coming in really helps out with these seminars. And having more people there, and I guess in a coat and tie, lends to credibility as well.
Now, Marc Rogers is an amazing presenter, and I have seen him do that. I had the privilege of going to Salt Lake and watch him do that, what he does for you. Wonderfully engaging, great context, not just content, and that's really good. And the reason why it's so good is because you're bringing in an objective third party. He can say things about you can't say about yourself. And, the other super cool thing is he's going to say stuff about you that you can't either, right? So it's like that other back and forth sort of thingy where, you guys can play off of each other, which is awesome. How often are you doing the seminars?
I try to do them at least once every 1.5 to 2 months. Marc would like me to do them more frequently, obviously. And, I think I will get to a point where we are doing that. But, as I said, we've got offices in 3 different cities, so it's easier for me to spread them out rather than just do them once per month. I would like to have a situation where I could do them once a month, but you've got to have the demographics in your locale to be able to do that and remain where it would be profitable for your business. So that's why we're doing them at the frequency that we are.
Now, how big is Beaumont?
Beaumont, I guess it's really the Golden Triangle, as it's referred to, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange, and then the surrounding areas. Probably the entirety of the area is probably between 350 and 400,000 people, but that expands out to a big area. Most of the events are held in Beaumont, though, but really referring to the area, that's about right. Now
you moved to Austin, which is flipping huge, right?
Yeah, it's flipping huge, and then the market here is incredible, and there's a lot of money here. Obviously, Austin's real estate market has gone crazy. Everyone is moving here from blue states, and the growth here is just crazy, and real estate is just gone crazy as well. So this is a great place to market in.
Well, let's switch gears, Todd. Let's talk about the marketing stuff that you've tried that hasn't worked well.
Yeah, I can remember one event in particular. I remember when we first started doing seminars, I have a friend that's a DO, doctor of osteopathy, and I said, hey, I understand you have a talk that you give about how to live 120. Man, that sounds fantastic. That sounds like we could do a joint seminar. I could have you come and talk at a local hotel. We'll serve a nice dinner. And then when folks come there, they're going to want to live to be age 120. I will be able to help them plan out their finances so they don't run out of money. Well, when we sent out the invitations, thought we sent them out to the right demographic. Everyone that came in was on death's door because they wanted to live to be age 120. Oh. And unfortunately, people were coming in wheelchairs and walkers. And, that's not begrudging them. Obviously, they wanted to hold on to life. But that did not quite go the way that I thought it would. So
Wow.
needless to say, we haven't done that seminar again.
Anything else? Like, a lot of, since you've been in the biz for a while, man, there's shiny object syndrome, right? Advisors go to conferences, they go on reward trips, and, some great salesperson's up on stage and gets you interested in something that you try when you get back to your office. Do you have shiny object syndrome? And give us another example if you do.
I've gotten much better at that. When I was younger, I would be more attracted to that thing. But if you just have a plan and you continue to work the plan, this business is a numbers game, and especially in regards to marketing. Now, obviously, when you are actually doing the work for your client, that's a different discussion altogether. But in regards to marketing is a numbers game, and it always will be a numbers game.
I want to pull that quote specifically and plaster that everywhere on my social media, on my company's social media, because you just really hit the nail on the head. It's about doing things consistently with the right intention, the right motivation, and the right execution, which is my next question. How do you execute all of this so well with the radio, with the seminars, but still run a profitable practice?
How do I execute this also well? Well, when I first got started, it was fear. I didn't have any choice.
Yeah.
You need to get out and do it. I guess, and I had this conversation with my wife. She said when we first got married many, many years ago that the idea that I didn't go to work and have a salary and go to work for an employer, that I was working on commission, and I haven't worked for a salary in decades, that it was something that was initially unsettling to her. And then she understood that I was like a farmer, and that I would go out and plant the field, and I would try to reap the harvest after I did the work planting the field. And I guess I rest in that now, and I have comfort in that. And I just know as long as I do the work and do the things that I'm supposed to do, that things will turn out. And my dad, bless his heart, he gave me a quote a long time ago. He said, "Son, if you do the things," let me get the quote right. He said, "Son, if you will be smart enough to be dumb enough to do what you're told, you'll usually be okay." And I try to understand that if you will have a plan, and it's a good plan, work the plan, it will work out.
What is the hardest part of execution with what you're doing currently in marketing?
Well, I'm a human being, and it's emotional, and sometimes you have disappointments and things don't go the way that you thought they would, and the numbers don't work out on a particular seminar, or they don't work out. You don't hit your numbers in a month, but then the following month you can double your numbers. And I guess as a human being, it's easy to get distracted, and I don't like disappointment. And that's what keeps me going, because I refuse to rest in the disappointment. I want to rest in the success, which is just as fleeting as the disappointment. But I can continue to strive to continue to get out there and do the things that I need to do.
If you were able to pass down knowledge, we have a very nice listenership to this podcast. And there are a lot of new advisors who look to people like you, Todd, and say, man, I'd like to be like him, or I'd like to run a successful business like him. I'd love to be on the radio. I would love to be able to expand into new markets. What sort of advice would you give them that you wish you might have heard from? It does sound like your dad was a good mentor. So help us with that, please.
Well, if I'm a young advisor coming into the business, the first thing that I would do is I would try to find an older advisor to get them to take the young advisor under his wing and to give him advice. And obviously the older advisor is going to retire one day, and to try to form a relationship with that advisor. I know that sounds like a great plan and it sounds easy to do, but something, I guess the quote that I'm looking for is, you need to form a relationship with that advisor and then be loyal to that advisor, because the tendency today is, and I've had this happen, I've formed a relationship with younger advisors in the past and had them gone off and do their own thing. And, a year later they were out of the business. So if you're going to have the opportunity to work with an older advisor, I would suggest that you do that and be loyal to that relationship, and it can turn out very, very well for you.
My final question for you today is on success. You just brought that up, and you told us what keeps you working so hard every day. When you define success, Has that changed over time? And if so, can you define success for us today?
Define success. I mean, that's such a subjective term. Obviously, everybody wants to have money, but money isn't necessarily the definition. To me is that you have a family that loves you, that you're able to provide for that family, and you've got a good relationship with that family. But at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to have fun while you're doing all that with a little bit of income. And I can't think of any better business to be in than be in the financial advising business, because the potential for income is there, and you can really do well if you will be honest, have integrity, and apply yourself and work really hard.
Nice. Well, Todd, thank you so much for taking some time today to pass down your wisdom to our audience.
Hey, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it.
If you have not subscribed to the 99 Best Ideas podcast, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is click the subscribe now button below. And if you know another financial services professional that would really, love to hear the advice from Todd Hickman, please make sure you just click that share button. It's really easy. It'll share a link to the podcast, and then you can email it, you can text message, you can post it on social media, whatever you want to do. But don't keep this podcast a secret. Make sure that you're sharing this with all of your other financial services professionals. For everybody at Asset Growth Associates, WealthVest, and Top Advisor Marketing, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of WealthVest or Top Advisor Marketing. The mere appearance of content on the site does not constitute an endorsement by WealthVest or Top Advisor Marketing. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. WealthVest or Top Advisor Marketing do not make any representation or warranties with respect to the accuracy, applicability, fitness, or completeness of the content. WealthVest or Top Advisor Marketing does not warrant the performance, effectiveness, or applicability of any sites listed or linked to any content. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.